make sure to get my binoculars. They look very official. What? We're rolling. Okay. Nigel Higgins here. Welcome back to another episode of Nigel's Wild Adventures. And today we have a doozy for you. We're taking a look at the Masterpiece Arms Protector 2. Come on, come with me. We have to be very quiet and stealthy. Just in here. All right. There it is in its natural habitat.
Why is that thing in a toilet?
What? I'm sorry. I thought it was quite obvious. That gun is a huge piece of shit. It's colder than a witch's tit, which, as we all know, is the coldest titty out there. I'm a connoisseur of titty temperatures. I keep logs. And of all the titty temps I've taken over the years, which is by far the coldest. Masterpiece Arms makes arguably the best precision chassis rifles on the planet. They're winning competitions left, right, and center. NRL, PRS, blah, 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 blah. Having said that, they also made this abomination. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a Masterpiece Arms Protector 2. It is an 11.8 ounce 4140 steel framed 5+1 single stack double action only straight blowback nightmare chambered in 380 ACP with a 2¼ inch ported barrel. I bought this thing in 2012-ish and they were discontinued shortly after that due to a very unsavory Me Too incident. In all honesty though, I bought it, I shot it a little bit and I put it in the safe and I have not touched this thing in like, what is that, 9 years? 9 years, because it doesn't work. So let's talk about it. Before we dive into this shit show, please like, subscribe, hit the little notification bell. I'm making a concerted effort to get more videos released this year, and it would help a lot. Plus, tell your friends, right? It's a pandemic. You gotta have a social life. Tell your friends about the channel. If you like the content, you should do that. This is by far the most uncomfortable pistol I have ever shot, and I've shot thousands of rounds of full house 357 mag and 44 mag. It's super uncomfortable to shoot, not because of fit and finish, it's actually really well machined. It's because it feels like you're detonating a harbor mine in your hands. This falls into the category of mouse guns, which are basically the smallest conceivable semi-automatic pistol that you can manufacture. Mouse guns are notoriously unreliable, and this one is no exception. I had problems with this gun right out of the box. So the first day I took it to the range, I had about 10 stoppages in the first 25 rounds. And this first 25 rounds was made up of 3 different kinds of factory ammo and 1 box of reloads. So 4 different kinds of ammo, all exhibited the same problems, which were failures to eject and failures to feed. In addition to that, I started picking up the brass to see if I could see, anything weird going on, and definitely some weird stuff going on. They had this crazy ring bulge 2/3 of the way up the case towards the case mouth. So not like back towards the rim, but up towards the case mouth. So move over, Glock, with your little weak ass unsupported chamber bulge. We got some Quasimodo shit 2/3 of the way up the case. So I emailed Masterpiece Arms, and I'll roll in these actual pictures that I sent to them back in like 2012, 2013, and said, hey, this doesn't look right. What's going on? And they responded that that was a chamber feature. Sure enough, if you bust out a flashlight and look down in the chamber, you can see a super roughly machined ring about 2/3 of the way into the. It looked like they tried to ream the chamber with a sharpened spoon, but it was consistent with that weird rough machining all the way around. So I'll take them at their word that it is a chamber feature. I do not know what the purpose of that chamber feature is, but it definitely exists. For the stoppages, Masterpiece Arms suggested that I play with the orientation of the mag spring. So you heard that right. You go follower, mag body, mag base plate. They wanted to actually flip the orientation of the mag spring 180 degrees front to back. Or top to bottom. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they want us to play with the orientation of the mag spring. I should have known that because, to their credit, it was written on their website, and I think maybe in the manual, which I didn't read. So I went and changed the orientation of the mag spring, went back out to the range, and lo and behold, it cycled 48 consecutive rounds of Spear 90 grain gold dots. Hey-o! Think about that. I mean, that's not even like some easy round ball. We've got some defensive hollow points, and it's cycling it like a champ. Unfortunately, On the 49th round, the trigger got super heavy and gritty. You could see the hammer cocking back, but it wouldn't actually get to the point where it would break and release and fall. I couldn't get it to fire, and even if you could, I wouldn't know if you wanted to, because something felt very wrong. So I disassembled the gun, and I just found is a little thing, just a little problem. The trigger broke. Yeah, the trigger, not like, oh, it became disconnected. The trigger physically cracked into two distinct pieces. Well, once there was one trigger, now there are two. 'Tis the way of the world. The trigger snapped, which baffled me. I emailed Masterpiece Arms and they shipped me a replacement trigger immediately. You see, Masterpiece Arms customer service is actually legitimately great to this day. I emailed them like, I don't know, a couple months back about replacement recoil springs on a gun that they discontinued like 8 years ago, and they immediately responded. They're like, oh yeah, it's right here on the website. Here's a link to it, go buy it. So they're really, really great customer service. And this Protector 2 has a lifetime warranty. Awesome. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with a time machine to go back and retroactively and fix all of the design flaws on this gun. I was surprised the trigger broke, but I wasn't super surprised that this gun had a trigger issue, because all over their website and on their literature and inside the plastic case that the gun comes in, there's a little sticker that says, whatever you do, do not dry fire the gun or fire the gun with the magazine removed from the firearm, because if you do, it may require complete disassembly of the firearm. You heard that right. Move over, magazine disconnect. This is magazine self-destruct. If you don't know the manual of arms for this gun, you need to sit in timeout and take apart the gun and reassemble it and think about what you've done wrong. So it's not ideal. I don't quite know what that's about, but to their credit, they say don't do that. But nowhere in the literature did it say if you fire the gun under normal circumstances, will the trigger break into two pieces. After replacing the trigger, the gun would run, but then I started to have some intermittent failures as time went on, and they actually got worse as time went on. So it was everything. Failures to feed, failures to eject, stovepipes, blah, 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 blah. This time the culprit ended up being recoil springs. Turns out you're supposed to replace the recoil springs after 100 rounds. Now you may be asking yourself, is it normal to replace recoil springs after 2 boxes of ammunition? And I say, hell yeah. You think you're gonna get more than 100 rounds through this howitzer? This cannon without bending a couple springs? Pfft. You know the ACP in 380 ACP stands for atomic cyclone power. And you got a Cat 5 making landfall on your springs, bruh. Do some maintenance. Let's talk about sights. How badass are they? Well, I guess we'll never know, because they don't fucking exist. That's right, no sights. We got a gut sight. You see it? Yeah, neither do I. Gut sight, right there, baby. This gun is for advanced operators only, okay? If you're not a Jedi, you shouldn't be handling this thing. If you need sights, go home. Need not apply. Don't pick this gun up. Come on, get out of here. Get out of here with your Bush League bullshit. All right, so how far can you shoot these gutter sights? What are we talking about? What are we talking, 7 yards? Pah, who are you? You some kind of Chris Kyle, Bradley Cooper, American Sniper badass. 7 yards, you might as well be 7 miles away, huh? You gotta get personal. First, you need to punch through the target, then pull the trigger. That way you know you get your hits. That's assuming the gun goes off. Then you'll get your hits. That's how you do it. In all seriousness, I can make hits consistently out to about 15 yards. Anything past that, we're talking 20, 25 yards and beyond, it's a coin toss for me. This thing seems to shoot way high left, like way high, like off the target high at 20 yards. Well, I say off the target high. I mean, what defines what's in the target or not in the target? I don't know. I don't know what a good definition of what is in the target or not. Anything out to about 15 yards, I can get consistent hits on a man-sized target. Let's talk about gripping this thing. So there's very, very little real estate. You can physically fit one finger under the trigger guard if you have a flush mount magazine. This is the extended magazine, which allows you to get 2 fingers under the trigger guard, but you still got a pinky dangling. You see that? The other thing is that if you try to actually hold it with 2 hands, there is no real estate on this gun for which to put your other hand. So if you do a thumbs forward grip, your thumb is in front of the end of the barrel. So you're better off just shooting it one-handed, in all honesty. It's a belly gun. That's what it is. I mean, it's one-handed, 7 yards and in, man-sized target. Cross your fingers, it goes off. Why did I buy this thing in the first place? You may be asking yourself. Back in 2012, I was super interested in concealed carry. It was starting to get more and more popular. And at the time, I wore like slacks and a button down every day. The option of carrying something inside the waistband or outside the waistband was non-existent. It was a non-starter. So it had to be a pocketable mouse gun, period, full stop. Either that or like a J-frame and an ankle holster. What about holster options for this microscopic thing? What kind of holster do you do for a gun that is smaller than a playing card? There are no holster options. I mean, what would you use? Would you use like a sugar packet from IHOP? Or stevia for you hipsters? I mean, what you do is you be a man and you drop it in your front pocket with loose change and a bunch, like a janitor ring of car keys and like a half a roll of Rolaids. And that way, you know, you're living on the edge. You know, just a bunch of stuff that's roughly trigger guard size that you know you can get in there. And you know, makes you feel more alive, I think. There were a couple of mouse guns out there, right? Like Carr had some small stuff, but I wouldn't call it a mouse gun. Boberg had some crazy stuff. I wouldn't necessarily call it a mouse gun. The small ones were like the Keltec P3AT and the P32, and then Seecamp. And Seecamp, LWS Seecamp made some awesome stuff. They basically made a gun that looked extremely similar to this, but in stainless. So Seecamp had been around for a long time. Keltec had been around for a while in the small gun game. And this magically fit the niche because Seecamps were super nice, but A, they were expensive, and B, they were vaporware. You could never find them. They were never in stock. And if you found one, it was going for like $200 over MSRP. And then also Keltec came out, and the 32s ran really well. Some of the 380s ran really well, but I was kind of being snobby, and I was like, I don't want a plastic 380. I want a Seecamp, but I can't find one. And then bam! In comes this guy, and it's a 4140 machine frame, which, let's talk about this for a second. This is a lot of intricate machining, and it's actually really well finished for some fairly tough steel. So, and this was like 275 bucks, 300 bucks. So we're talking like Keltec prices, but something that looked like it was like 85 to 90% of the way to a Seecamp. And I was like, oh my God, home run, gotta have this thing. Turns out it just doesn't run super reliably. In all honesty, I don't even know if it's possible to make a pistol this small and make it reliable. MPA, good on you for trying. I will say it's really well machined. You guys did a great job of machining. Unfortunately, it's just not super reliable because I don't think it's really possible to make a gun this small that's reliable. There's a reason that pistols get more reliable the larger they get. All right, that's it for this video. You guys, thank you so much if you're still here for sticking around. Like I said, I'm gonna try to make videos more often. Please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. If you like the video, forward it over to a friend. Let me know what I ought to do with this thing. I don't really feel right selling it because it doesn't run. There's something weird about selling a gun that doesn't run right. I've thought about maybe doing a giveaway. I don't really know how that works yet. I see other people doing it. If this is something you guys would be interested in, a very functional paperweight, keep me posted, or if there's anything else you wanna see me do with it, hit me up in the comments. Later.